Today, we look at some bands that need to get back together already. Check it. Over the last 15 years of my life, pop punk, punk rock, emo, whatever you want to call it, all those genres pretty much dominated my life. That was way too bright. That was too much of a glare. I've seen some come, I've seen some go. I've seen some really, really terrible bands, and then I've seen some beauty come out of all of this. The genre itself has pretty much changed my life for my entire life. And at times it feels just as I discover a band, I realize they're on their way out the door or they've already broken up. So there's no more discovering to do. So today, we look at some bands that they need to get back together already. First up is Chunk No Captain Chunk. I was kind of a late bloomer with this band. I really like 4 Years Strong. I really like The Day to Remember. And then I listened to their first 2 records and really got into their singles like any other poser would do. I think people are still using that word. I'm not quite sure. My buddy Ziggy got me into the band. And it was right after we went to a 4 Years Strong concert, and he said, hey, if you like these guys, then you're going to definitely like these guys. And I did. And I guess 2017, 2018, the guys decide they're going to go on a hiatus. They're going to be back, but let's hope it's sooner than later. I really like these guys. They have a really cool sound. And, because they sound a little like 4 Years Strong and Day to Remember, those are not a substitute to the way a Chunk No Captain Chunk sounds. So let's hope them back together. Cobra Starship is one of those bands that I didn't immediately enjoy. It took some getting used to for me to like the band. How I kind of fell into liking these guys and listening to these guys was the tune that they did with Gym Class Heroes and The Academy Is, and the sounds for the Snakes on a Plane soundtrack. And the song's called Bring It. You should probably check that out. I might leave that in the description below. Who cares? But that's how I fell for that band. Is just through that song. And then I picked up the first record. Realized they're kind of the band that Fall Out Boy took under their wing. Like Fall Out Boy's done with tons of other bands. And they were kind of the Fuel by Ramen guys for a short period of time. I think that they've been doing some stuff off and on. Just the lead singer has been hopping around doing his own thing, but it'd be really cool to see a full-fledged reunion. Hope they get back together. I stated in the last one, The Academy Is, who did the Bring It tune with Cobra Starship, is another band that has been very much off and on throughout the years. The guys did make after kind of a small hiatus thing after a record they had, after a tour they had, they were kind of gone for a while, and they gave everyone a light and hope after appearing at the 2015, I'm gonna say 2015, the 2015 Chicago Riot Fest, and they played their entire album, the album Almost Here, for their it's the 10th anniversary of that record, so that's why they did a Riot Fest. After that, they went on a small tour where they also played Almost Here in its entirety live. The band's last show, though, was in San Diego, California, in September 2015, and as of that date, they haven't been a band. William Beckett, their lead singer, has went on and done some acoustic shows, but that's it. Hopefully they get back together. I really like that band. Skylit Drive. My brother got me into this band. I thought Jag, the lead singer, was a girl singing the first time I ever heard them. And I went to a few of their shows with him. We saw Dance Gavin Dance with them on a tour. And those guys were still killing it, by the way. And my brother actually bought a guitar off of one of their rhythm guitarists at the time. And he had that, which was totally awesome. We were in kind of cool contacts with those guys. My brother was more than anybody. They were such a diverse, like, ripping band that had, like, fucking high range, that had killer guitar solos, and then they did like some screaming parts in the song. So it was a mixture of everything. If you like 80s music, that was there. If you like heavier metal music, this fucking screaming and the breakdowns were there. And if you liked like good range harmonies and fucking sick guitar solos, all that stuff was there. And then their drummer Corey is insane. So they were like the full package. And I guess they just kind of disband, kind of went their own way. It'd be awesome to see those guys back together in the lineup that I remember them from. But they really haven't done anything since then. So if you guys are watching this, get back together. The starting line. If you grew up in the early 2000s, the song "The Best of Me" was probably on Mixtape for one of your girlfriends. Yeah, guaranteed it. Guaranteed it was. I did a video on that already. What am I talking about? The starting line was one of those bands that kind of like kickstarted me into punk rock and into pop punk. Well, pop punk mostly. Was because I was told that you had to be a certain age to go on tour and all this other stuff. And come to find out, lead singer, bassist Kenny was still in fucking high school when they were on tour. So that's totally fabricated stuff by mom and dad. Just letting you know that. No, those guys were a huge inspiration. They were also the first band that I really listened to that were from Pennsylvania and got the fuck out of here. A lot of bands from the stereotypical LA, New York, Florida. Those were a lot of the bands that I was subjected to, and to see another band that that was in the genre that I fucking admired and loved, get out of Pennsylvania was totally awesome. The last time I saw them, they were at the 4-Chord Music Festival here in Pittsburgh. They did kind of a reunion show thing. I think that was it. They did that and maybe a small couple stints of tours. That was in 2015 or 2016. They haven't done anything since then. They put out an EP, acoustic record type. I think it was just an EP. I'm going to go with just an EP. They put out a small EP, and then after that, they did like a small handful of shows, and nothing since then. They're family guys now, so it'd be cool though to see those guys get back together and kill it. Their show is also always tight, always high energy. Everyone's singing along to all the songs. Speaking of bands that get back together and then say they're done and they get back together again, like the starting line is Yellowcard. Yellowcard's another one of those bands that if you didn't have the song Only One on your mixtape, then you were doing it wrong for your girlfriend. Maybe if you would have put that song on there, you would have got laid that night. But here we are. You're still layless. They're another band where the last time I saw them was the 4-Chord Music Festival. Rishi brings in some fucking killers. It was either there or the Vans Warped Tour in 2016, 2017. But since then, their lead singer, guitarist Ryan Key, he's been doing some solo stuff, and playing some Yellowcard songs acoustic. But again, it's not the same as the whole aesthetic of the entire band doing something. And they were another one of those bands that kind of fall in line with the starting line. They're like one of the first bands I picked up. I saw them on MTVU for the first time, if anybody knows what that is. But those are one of the first bands, 2003, 2004, that I got a hold of and kind of never let go and kind of followed their career. And that's another thing that sucks, is when you see a band like that, where you watch their career go and you follow them and you buy their merch and then they just disappear. It breaks your heart or something. Modern Baseball. This is a band that just as I started liking them, they disappeared. I was late in the game with Modern Baseball. I caught on them fucking so late in the game that they were already broken up when I started listening to them. I felt that they had a cool sound. They were kind of quirky. I was very much a boycotter of the modern pop punk sound for the longest damn time. I didn't listen to bands like Knuckle Puck or Neck Deep, Belmont, Real Friends, name it, I didn't listen to it. It had to be the early 2000s, early 90s pop punk sounds bands. It was only until I started this blog that I got into a whole bunch of new bands, a whole bunch of rad bands. Bands started sending me their merch in the mail. Shout out to One More Weekend. But yeah, Modern Baseball. If you haven't heard of them, or haven't heard any of their songs, or at least heard their name but none of their songs, definitely go give them a listen, and you'll hopefully feel the same way I do about they need to get back together. Yeah. These last three, because I've kind of been picking them in a row of my favorites from 10 to 1, are probably going to be in no particular order, because it's so hard for me to choose. These bands all mean something different, and they're all equally as fucking awesome as the other one. So let's just start with this one. I would have to say Boxcar Racer. only because they put out one album. The other two, you'll kind of figure out why I'm saying this third. Boxcar Racer was a side project with Tom DeLonge and Travis Barker. They put it out in 2001, 2002, and it only had one. They only had one record. They did a tour. That was it. It was kind of Tom's escape from Blink-182. He kind of cleansed his palate, went off and did his own thing. Travis is always cleansing his palate. He's always hungry. I mean, you see that he's doing the transplants. He did stuff with Youngblood and Halsey recently. He has his own drum record with a bunch of rappers on it. I mean, dude's always busy. On top of Blink, it's a rad record. It was so light and heartfelt on certain songs, like There Is, which is another song you should put on that mixtape for your girlfriend. And then at times it was like heavy and insane and just big. It was kind of like a precursor to Angels and Airwaves. You know, you could really tell that was a defining moment where I could tell, listening to Blink, listening to Boxcar Racer, who wrote what songs in the band. Fingers crossed that that Travis and Tom will get back together and do another Boxcar Racer record. If you haven't heard that record, it's a self-titled record, Boxcar Racer. Look it up, listen to it. Motion City soundtrack. I grew up in a time listening to straight hair metal, 80s synth rock. That was kind of beat down my throat. I listened to like Eric Burdon and the Animals and the Ventures and the Beatles and Journey and Foreigner and Boston and Kansas. In that row, you have to say it in that row. That's the way my dad always put it. And just kind of listening to that. And then when I started listening to Journey, my dad really got us into the whole synth sound. And I love the synth sound. It always carried it on with me. Also 2- and 3-part harmony. You know, your voice is also an instrument. If you're not using it correctly, what are you even doing? Listening to a band that came out right when my parents were so against me listening to this rebellion music of pop punk and punk rock, listening to Motion City soundtrack and showing my parents that, hey, all the stuff you brought me up on are in this band. You've got the synth, you've got the harmonies, you got the high range vocals, you got the cool guitar parts, you got the sick drum fills. All this is in this band. Was a band that they were kind of acceptant of, which is really cool for me. And then I found out that like Mark Hoppus from Blink-182 produced the record, and I was a Blink fan before I was a Motion City fan, and it all kind of clicked. Motion City still is one of those awesome bands that were so unique and were kind of like they were kind of the Rush of pop punk. Justin has this crazy hair and has these high vocals like Geddy Lee does. There's synth in the band, high energy on stage. The closest thing that I've gotten to hear those guys is this band from Belgium. I think they're from Belgium. They're called The Rocket. And Jesse and Justin, it's good to know they're still talking, from Motion City soundtrack, actually produced a record. I did a feature on that band for their latest album. I'll leave a description of that in the link below. You can check it out. Jesse and Justin actually are on one of the songs, so that's kind of cool. And the other thing is, you know, Justin came out with a solo record, and it's less synth, more indie rock. I just wish those guys to get back together, do another tour. I would love to see them again live. I only saw them twice live, both at the Vans Warped Tour. It'd be awesome to see. And last but not least, if you didn't see this coming by now, well, why even on here? My Chemical Romance. My Chem kind of went on this indefinite hiatus, though they're still friends. They actually have a barbecue every year where all the band get together with their families and they just kind of hang out. I didn't get into this band initially. It took the Black Parade for me to get... that's a lie. I like their singles. I liked Helena and I liked I'm Not Okay. Those singles were rad. That record, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, it was, I mean, it's second to none. The Black Parade, though, is my favorite record from them, only because I really like the storyline out of it. It reminded me a whole lot of the direction Green Day was going in with their storyline, story arcs. And then later on, you know, Gerard Way, he ends up writing The Umbrella Academy, which is on Netflix. You guys should watch that. As of the recording of this, it's on Netflix. And then you kind of saw later on that the band was going to go... I always say it's a telltale sign whenever you start seeing band member changes and the band not touring anymore, and a lot of the stuff kind of goes synonymous with a lot of bands that have broken up or have, you know, went on their indefinite hiatus. it was in 2009, 2010, where Bob from My Chem decided he was gonna, you know, go separate ways. But I mean, the guys were still on good terms. You know, and then we thought we were gonna get another record from the band, but they put out a greatest hits album. And then around that time, like, a lot of the guys were doing their own thing. You know, they were starting their own companies. They were starting side project bands. Mikey Way formed Electric Century. Ray Toro did a solo project that he posted on like SoundCloud, and it blew the fuck up. Frank Lero, he formed. What was the name of the band? I gotta Google it. Deathspell. That's what it was. It's from the guys from Reggie and the Full Effect. Yeah, but it was in like that era that the guys decided they're gonna break up, and everyone thought they were gonna get back together in 2016 when they posted a acoustic piano cover song of The Black Parade with like this cryptic date thing on there, and it's 2019 and they're still not together. Even though Gerard Way, he has one on, and has done a solo record, and like I said, he's done the Umbrella Academy. Everyone would love to see get back together and do something. I just hope they're not going to be 50 fucking years old by the time they get back together. So My Chem, you did it. You did your solo projects. You did your companies. You did your TV show on Netflix. You did your comic book. Put a fucking record out already. It's too late. You need to put another record out. Yeah, mostly so I can try to interview you guys. Hey guys, now that we're at the end of the video, thank you for commenting, and subscribing. You can check out daily blogs on thepoppunkdad.com, which features daily reviews and interviews from awesome bands. Head on over to the Pop Punk Dad official merch shop, where you can buy cool things like that right there. It helps the channel out and lets me know that you love me. I have a weekly podcast called the Pop Punk Dadcast, which is on SoundCloud and iTunes now. Please subscribe. While you're at it, cruise around and check out other content on this channel. You can check out all my social medias, my IG, my FB, and my Twitter, at the Pop Punk Dad. And above all else, guys, stay pop punk. Later.